Okay, so let's do the breakdown. This breakdown is exclusive to everybody who bought the Orléans guitar pack, and you guys voted on Instagram which sample I should do the breakdown for, and it was between Capone and Un Dernier Jour, and you guys chose Un Dernier Jour. So let's get right into it. This video is not going to be edited, so I might say something at some point and then say something else at another point, that those two things might contradict each other, but that's just how it's going to be. There might be pauses, there might be words that I'm looking for in my brain that I can't remember, so just stick with me. I'll try to go into as much detail as possible, show you the mics, the recording techniques, the instruments, the plugins, and everything, like from recording to mastering. This is going to be like a full detailed breakdown, so let's get right into it. But first, let's listen to the final sample, the final version. Here we go.
Mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour.
Okay, so this is the final bounce. So when we listen to the project now, you're gonna hear that they're at a different pitch. The reason for that is that before exporting it, I ran it through the cassette and then re-recorded the cassette at a different tempo, so the pitch changed. But we're gonna talk about this a bit, talk about this later a bit more. So this is the project. So when I play it, you're gonna hear the difference. So it's lower and it sounds kind of hard, but I decided to go with the high-pitched version. It's lower and slower, so there's no warping going on between this version and the final version. It's just sped up, and so it sounds higher in pitch. So let's look at the project. We got a group. All the tracks are in one group. This is just the track, the imported final version. So the group has all the tracks in them, and we're not going to look at the first track right now. This is a track, this is kind of a utility track that I use for when I run the stuff through cassette, but we're going to talk about this a bit later. The first actual audio track are those guitar tracks, which are all in one group, because I have all the guitar tracks in one group, so I can do some group processing on them. The first track we're going to listen to is this one. You see the file is called Augustine 87. This is a loop that Faison sent me. He recorded this at home, but I know the instrument he used, we're going to talk about this later, and the mic. But let's first listen to this solo. So you see, I just imported it. There's just one little edit here. Probably I just shifted the note because it was a bit out of time. Maybe I changed it, I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. So this was the basis. This was what he sent me, and I recorded a second guitar on top, which is this one. Which is kind of like a bass line, but it's also a melody. So it's kind of a melody bass line. Both together. So these two tracks are kind of the basis of the whole sample. What makes this sample quite special is the arrangement. The arrangement is done in a way where you can have you can hear different possibilities of combinations of instruments, but it sounds like a song. It's very natural. It's not like, oh, I want one part with only the guitars and then suddenly everything comes in and then everything goes out and whatever. It's like, it's very natural. So it kind of sounds like a song, but it also is very practical because there's different parts with different instruments. So for the person flipping it, it's pretty convenient. So guitar used. The first guitar, this track that Faison sent me, is a steel string guitar. Brand is a Framus, Framus. He got it, I think, for around $200-$300, but I'm not sure actually. Maybe that's not true, but so I don't know. But it wasn't super expensive, if I remember correctly. It sounds amazing. The guitar I used is let me listen to it real quick. Yeah, pretty short. Let me show you. This is I'm gonna get it real quick. Where is it? I can't find the guitar. Oh, here it is. So this is the guitar I use to do the bass line. Yeah. Pretty low notes, but it sounds amazing. So Faison recorded at home in his apartment, and he used this microphone. This is an Electro Voice EV635A. It sounds great, especially when you use it with this thing. This is a thing called a cloud lifter or a fathead. Just Google fathead and you'll find it. It works with phantom power and it increases the gain. It's especially useful on vintage mics because you'll have less noise. Yes, more gain. The microphone I used is this one. This is a Reslo ribbon mic, also a vintage mic. Also, this one you have to use with this one because it doesn't have enough gain. This one you can use it without, but on this one you definitely need a cloud lifter to make it sound great. So this is the microphone I used, and I pretty much just recorded it into my sound card, no crazy preamp. Let's look at the processing of those tracks. So on Faison's guitar, I have this API EQ by UAD. I just roll out the lows. Then I have another rollout. Maybe there was like too much stuff going on in the mid-range here. And then I have this, my favorite compressor, the Fairchild. I always leave it on the first setting here. I never go to 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes I use the 6th setting, but usually I'm on setting 1. And you can see there's like 1, 2, 3 dB of gain reduction, which makes it sound great. On my guitar, which is panned to the left a little bit, I have nothing but a tuner and just I roll out the lows. That's it. Then when we scroll a bit further here, we can see that there's a third guitar coming in. So actually the second goes out and then we have a third one. This is the same guitar I used, also with the ribbon mic. everything together. Let's see, no plugins on here. There's just an EQ rolling out the lows. Now, the sound, the characteristic guitar sound, like the overall sound, is made on the group. So I have all these tracks in one group, and I have one more Fairchild compressor on here. Let me see. It doesn't really do anything. Yeah, I just realized it doesn't do anything. So I could delete this. Then another EQ. Probably there was a frequency here that I didn't like, so I just took that one out. Then I have this plugin, the Super VHS Baby Audio. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. I just got it that day, and then I thought I'd use it, and the setting was fine, but now I don't really use it. I'm not a huge fan. Then we have an API EQ on here, which rolls off the highs. So it was pretty harsh. 3 guitars together, there's a lot of like noise from the strings and shit, so sometimes you want to roll out some of the highs. And then another EQ that just takes out a frequency. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the whole guitar sound. Back here we have a section where, yes, I pitched down the main guitar. So here, -12 half steps. Then with the top line melody. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for the guitars, for the acoustic guitars. So maybe let's move on. What do we have here? So these are the whistles. I recorded those with my iPhone, then used a bunch of EQ on there. And then I see there's a reverb on it. So we have the dry channel here, then we have the wet channel here, and we have an EMT and just an EQ before that. So the reverb is pretty long, like 3.5 seconds, and pretty wide too. So this is the whistles, nothing crazy. Next is, what do we have? Oh, okay, the vocals. So yes, this is my vocals. A lot of people ask me about this. This is me singing. I speak French, and I sing French apparently. The mic I used is this one. So this is the same, the EV635A, and I used it very close, like just like I would use it in a live situation. So that's why it sounds so, how should I say this? It sounds kind of close, and it sounds very intimate. The reason for that is I put the mic really close. Let's see what I have on here. So we have another EQ and reverb combination here. Then we have some de-essing going on. Let's see how much this actually does. Yeah, there's a sh sound in there, and the de-esser just cuts that out a little bit. And then in the end we have a multi-band compressor, because there was this region here around 1600 hertz that was kind of annoying, so I reduced that a little bit. Next up is this group here. This is just a special effect, and it's basically me and the vocal mic just going, and then just this is just for like, just to make it a bit more interesting, like ear candy. Let's listen to everything up until here. You know, it's a little thing, but it's very important for the to make the whole sample dramatic. That's why I recorded this. It's nothing crazy going on here. I have a low cut EQ on the group. Then this delay, I love this delay. This is an incredible delay. It's a mono delay, tape emulation delay, and it just sounds amazing. Then I have this J37 plugin to give it a bit more texture, and then in the end we have this EMT, which is at 100% wet. This is pretty unusual, but I feel like it's one of the only reverbs where you can actually go to 100% wet and it still sounds good. I don't know if you ever used like a real plate reverb, but this is the best thing about real plate reverb, is that you can actually run them at 100% wet and it sounds amazing. All right, next track. These are the percussions, and I actually took this loop from the Minto Foundry percussion breaks pack. So you have that in there, and I just changed the rhythm by, you know, just realigning the percussion, the elements, and make it a different rhythm. Are there any plugins on this? No, this is totally dry, but you know, the loop comes already with like a bunch of processing on there, so I didn't have to do anything. And then next track is this double bass. So you can see that I had to kind of realign the notes and shit, because I'm not a super great double bass player, and I just like realigned the notes. And also I used the tuner on here to tune the notes, because the double bass doesn't have frets, so tuning is kind of difficult. You have to do it by ear. So if you look at this note, for example, it's pitched up 13 cents. This one is pitched up 2 cents. This is fine. This 8 cents, and so on. 35 cents. So I listen to every note, and with the tuner, I make it sound good, you know, so that it's in key. Because if your stuff is not in key, it sounds weird. So this is kind of important. So let's listen to everything except for the last track, because we're going to talk about the last track after that.
Mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour.
Okay, so the last track, let's solo the last track and listen to it. Wait, sorry. Again. Okay, here we go. So you can hear, this is just the reverb. This is just a spring reverb. So what I did is I ran everything that I have until this point through the spring reverb that I have here, and then recorded the spring reverb back in. So this is what you hear here. And you can hear it slightly pan to the left, and then when you add everything together, it sounds like this.
Mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour.
So this is a cool part here. Let me point this out real quick. When we solo the reverb here and listen to this section here, you can hear the main vocal line in the background, the Donne-moi juste un dernier jour. But if I mute the reverb, you can't hear it. So what I did here is I had the vocals playing in the sample here when I recorded the spring, but afterwards I deleted the dry version of the vocals from the project and kept it in the reverb. So what it does, it changes the sound of that vocal at this particular point. So if we compare this part and then we listen to this part, you can hear that the vocals are way back in the room. And this is just because I deleted the dry vocals that were here before I deleted them. So this is kind of special. This happens sometimes when I rearrange the sample after I recorded an external reverb. So that makes it kind of a lucky accident. That sounds cool. So now let's listen. Let's see what we have on the master here. On the master group, we only have one Fairchild compressor that I probably doesn't do much. Probably like 2 to 3 dB of reduction. Yeah. So now remember that when we listened to the final version, it was pitched up. So the reason for that is when I finished everything and arranged everything, I decided to run it through the cassette deck that I have over here. And then I knew I was gonna record it back at a different tempo. So the difficulty you have when you run back stuff at a different tempo is the variable tempo knob on the cassette doesn't tell you where the keys are. So where is it a half step up, where is it a full step up, because it's continuous. So what I do is I have this track here, which is just a sine wave. Listen to it. It's just a sine wave. So when I record to tape, I start the recording here 2 bars before the sample starts, and I record this sine wave onto tape. So when I play it back, I have this reference note and I know where I'm at. I know if I'm a bit sharp, a bit flat, how many half steps I'm up. So you can see it here. This is the part that I recorded back from the cassette at a higher tempo. So this part here is the sine wave, and it's, let me solo that, 1 step up. And you can immediately hear also the wobble that the tape gives, because usually this will be like a straight sine wave, but here you can hear it's like so that's why. So when I change the tempo on my cassette deck with the help of the tuner, I can see how fast or how slow I should go to still be in key, because I don't want to send out a sample that's out of key. Imagine sending a sample that's in between a C and a C sharp. The person making the beat is gonna be angry, because it's gonna be real hard to find the right 808s for it. Also, if the person wants to add some stuff, or imagine if the beat lands with an artist and they try to find the right key for the auto-tune, it's just gonna be madness. They're gonna be so angry. Okay. Yes, so then I ran it into the cassette deck and played it back 2 half steps higher, so full step higher, and it sounded like this. So now what I have is actually a sample that is 2 half step higher, but it's at a higher tempo too. So when I put it, like, play the click, you see it's not the right tempo. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna change the tempo of the project and see, sorry, I have to turn off warp here, and then see what is the new tempo. So the next beat will be, this will be the next beat right here. So I change the tempo to have it match just here. So now this is almost the right tempo. We can see that the sample is a bit faster than 97, but it's not 98. So maybe it is 98. Maybe no, it's not. So it's 97, a bit more. So I can change. I can do it with decimals. Have it line up pretty. 97.5. So because I don't want to use warp here, I don't want to destroy the sound, because whenever you use warp, the computer will have to add or remove artifacts, like add stuff from your audio, and it will create artifacts, and you just hear gives it a warped sound. So I don't want this. I want to have it sound clean. So I prefer having a decimal in there. So but when I go look at the sample, I can see I have it at 98 BPM. So I didn't even go for the decimal. So let me put it on 98. And then what I see, I get these gaps here because the sample is a bit too slow, you know? You see it's too late here. So what I do is I cut out small pieces of audio and realign it. Let me do it real quick. So already here I feel like this is a bit late. So what I'm gonna do is go in here, just cut out a tiny part and slide it over. And just whenever I feel like it's a bit late, I go in there, cut out a tiny bit, slide it over. Same here. Also the cassette sometimes delays stuff, so you gotta do this. And so on. You just keep on going, and just like remove those tiny bits of audio. And so this is a cool way of making sure your sample is in a different key than it was before. B, that it is in time with the click, that you don't have decimals, and you didn't use warping. So you get like, this is the best sound quality you can get from a pitched up audio file. So this is how I do it. It's a lot of manual work, but it's totally worth it because you end up with a organic sounding sample that is not warped, because usually the producer will take care of this, will have it at the tempo and the key he's comfortable in or feels like it's the best vibe, but I'm here to provide like good sounding audio with not too much digital processing, not too many digital artifacts. So this is how I like to do, and yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there's there's actually more going on. There's one more thing on the cassette track, which is a API EQ, and I just boost the 4K to 16K region just to give it a bit more brightness, but that's basically it. And then what I do, this is also a trick that I do on all my samples, is I take this L2 limiter, and let me put it on the track here. Then I turn down this knob here, which basically takes down the threshold and the out ceiling at the same time, and I find the point where it's just doing a little bit of limiting, or maybe not even doing anything. I just want to have like the peaks. Let me go here. Just like this. So it's not doing much. Maybe this is already too much. Let me turn it down a little bit. So yeah, that's it. So, and then I just change this value to -6, and I export it. So I have all my samples at -6 dB. So when I listen through stuff, when people listen to my stuff, they don't have to adjust volume of their speakers with every sample, because one is quiet, one is loud. Also, loudness changes how you perceive something. So I don't want something to be louder than something else, because I don't want to think it's better just because it's louder. I want it to be better if I think it's better. So yeah, that's basically it. I had that's it for the sample. There's not more going on. Like I said, what I like about this sample is the arrangement. I think it's really cool to listen to the whole thing from start to finish. And yeah, thank you so much for buying the Orléans pack. I hope you enjoying the samples. Thank you for voting to make this the sample that I break down. I'll be sure to make more public breakdown videos in the future too, but I thought it would be cool to do this like private one as a kind of thank you to everybody who bought the pack, everybody who's supporting Minto Foundry. We have next pack is going to be Percussion Breaks Volume 2. Percussion Breaks Volume 1 was a great success. People loved it, so I decided to make Volume 2. I have it like 60% finished, so I still got to do some work on it, but stay tuned for this and stay tuned for all the other amazing releases we have coming. So thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour. Mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour. Oh mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour. Oh mon amour, donne-moi juste un dernier jour.